that moving online from having FaceTime with people, you said that you were not a people person when you started out. So you got yourself into being able to present in front of hundreds of people and do it consistently. Do you think there are people out there who are terrified of being in front of people and that's preventing them from being successful? Could they look at you as an example of somebody who has gotten over their fears and is now on a podcast, in Colombia, chatting to somebody in Norway?
I would say the only reason people don't live the life they want is because of fear. I boiled it down. I've sat with thousands and thousands of people, and it's all they're afraid. We're afraid of looking bad. We're afraid of not knowing, myself included. Afraid of getting made fun of. I mean, I was bullied as a kid, right? And so all of those traumas, they live with us and we got to deal with.
Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhne. Welcome back, everyone. And we have Zach Oehlman, but I'm allowed to call him Indiana, just by the way, but we'll explain that later to you. So sorry. Oh, dear. Zach is an ex-corporate consultant who created a private equity firm helping businesses start, scale, and sell their business. He's been traveling the world full-time for 4 years, living in over 24 countries at that time. Raised on a farm in Indiana with big dreams and an entrepreneurial spirit, Zach is a seasoned valuation consultant and visionary in real estate investing. He's built a robust community around the life cycle of entrepreneurship, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about that today. So, Zach, welcome.
Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Zachy, no, let's not. Oh, Lord. Okay. So, one of the reasons I wanted to chat to you is because you had this fantastic topic of traveling or the digital nomad lifestyle. And most young folks, even some old codgers like myself, would love to do the digital nomad thing. It looks fun. You get to meet all these nice people. You get to make tons of money. You get to have lots of time. You have lots of clients. I mean, what could go wrong?
Right. It's so simple. Why doesn't everybody do it?
So I think before we go into digital nomad lifestyles, you've obviously worked with a lot of businesses. You've worked in real estate and a couple of other exciting things. So let's just maybe go quickly into your background so folks know sort of your specializations and why they can believe a word that Zach says.
I love it. So I went to school for finance, graduated top of my class from Indiana University, went into corporate America, ended up working for, I call them the founding fathers of personal asset valuation. And so at Willamette Management, I became a published author. I valued pretty much everything that can create cash flow, but I specialize in illiquid, non-marketable private assets. I valued software, people, banks, credit unions, things like that, really complex things. And it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, but I just wasn't making the type of money and the freedom I wanted. And so I quit all that and got into real estate and, had some success there, bought and sold some businesses, grew my community to over 1,000 people, sat on the board of the education company that I sold, which represented 30,000 people. And so I've learned a lot about learning, right? About, I figured it out myself, but then I was in charge of helping other people figure it out. And, it's 20 years of figuring out myself and helping other people figure it out. And so that's what I spend my time doing today. And then, we do financial services. We have a whole portfolio of businesses, but we created a framework to help my team understand it and to help our clients understand it. And so inside of that framework, we help people start, scale, and sell businesses and then reinvest that money back into real estate.
So that's the dream, right? Is to end up with property at the end,
right?
And be able to start and scale a business. But that process sounds super easy. Okay, it's not that easy, right? And
it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
And trying to do that while being a digital nomad must be even harder. So how can we dovetail these together? So I want to talk about this digital nomad experience of yours. Is this something perhaps that people should only do once they've established and sold big businesses? Or is this something that you can do while you are in the startup phase of your business and then use this process of yours, for example, to scale and build communities, which I know is important to you?
Yeah. And so it depends on what your business is. And so my business can be run online. A lot of businesses can't. Like if you're brick and mortar, you have to remove yourself from the business. And so if you're listening to this, I would say the first thing is to learn how to sell something, right? And what I would recommend is learn how to sell somebody else's stuff. And that's what I did. I learned how to sell and promote someone else's stuff. And then I learned how to build community around it. And then I learned the operational component of it and the automation component of it. And we have a process called FOSSM, Finance, Operation, Sales, and Marketing. And so I learned all of those components by selling someone else's stuff. And then I said, okay, I now have my own stuff, or I can represent another business's stuff that I really like. And so that framework really allows me the flexibility to promote and or take equity, whatever I want. And one of the biggest things I see people mess up is they want to start businesses or they want this lifestyle, but they have no idea how to promote and they have no idea how to sell. And if you can't sell something, you're not going to make any money, right? That's black and white. And I was really confronted with that because I was a finance guy and I was afraid of people, like horribly afraid of people. I was very good at what I did because I didn't have to deal with people, right? And I just studied all day and I worked and worked and worked. And then, I was making 6 figures plus at 27 years old, but I still don't have the real money I wanted and the real freedom I wanted. And it wasn't until I actually started being good with people that that component came in.
Well, it's helpful having that financial component because a lot of people are good with people but useless at finance. So you've done it sort of the other way around, which is quite tough, as you say. You spoke about valuation, and I've got to touch on that a little bit because I think that's why you have extra relevance in terms of what you're offering folks out there. I used to work for Wunderbrand, and we did brand valuations. And we used to work with all sorts of big companies doing intangible assets and things like that. And one of the things
that was my jam.
Oh, yeah. So what you learn in that kind of work is you obviously want to build brand value and you want to build up the value of the company at the end of the day. And you can only do so much with assets, but with brand valuation in terms of the non-tangible assets, that's when you can really build value into your business beyond just physical assets. And a good example of this is Coca-Cola. I can't remember the exact valuation that they've got now, but it's in the region of about just under $200 billion, for example. And of that, about 100 of that is brand value. So if every single factory of theirs burnt down overnight, tomorrow they could take a piece of paper, go to the bank and say, hey, can you please give me $100 billion that I can rebuild all of my factories and go back to selling Coca-Cola. So cool, quite an exciting industry actually, and it's optimizing all of these different parts of the business to create value at the end of the day. So that's my little diatribe on that. Let's go into this digital nomad lifestyle. So you've gotten obviously to a stage where you're able to do this. 4 years living in a whole bunch of countries. Which is the first one you chose, and why did you feel that you could make this leap from going from an office to being on a motorbike traveling around the world?
So I used to run in-person events, 2 events every week for 5+ years. And my dream was always to travel the world, help people make money since I was a young kid, 16, 18 years old. And then, so we'd have like 200 to 300 people every Wednesday at my office. And then we'd have 50 to 100 people at a property every Friday or every Saturday where we did a tour. And then COVID came and I had all these people and all of this, and it forced me online. And so within a week, we moved everything online. And I had this brand new apartment in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And I was just sitting there, like figuring it out, weeks passed and months passed. And one day I said, I did it. Like I actually moved my company online. I'm like, I don't have to be here. But every place was shut down then, right? So it's like, where do we go now? And so we went to Hawaii. Hawaii was the only place that was open. We went there. We packed literally a week's worth of food because we had no idea what we were going into. And we went out there, did a 2-week quarantine, and we were like, oh, this is cool. Now, I was waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. every day, so I didn't enjoy that. But it was still, we had the freedom. And every weekend, we'd go explore Hawaii. And then we came back to Phoenix, and my wife and I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And so where can we go now? And we said, what's open? Still in the heart of COVID. Colombia's open, so let's go to Colombia. I had this perspective of Colombia, and it was totally wrong. It's I'm here right now, actually. We're buying a house and a farm here. And, we got to experience it. It was on the same time zone, Central Standard, so everything was just brilliant. And then we're like, okay, well, where next? And then it was Peru. And then we just, 4 years later, we've lived in 24 countries. And, what we look for now, we were over in Bali and Thailand. And so what I look for now is same time zones. I look for fast internet. I look for, infrastructure that is reliable, mainly via internet, safe places to live, great food, cheap. And so, South America is that almost all over. And so we've settled down in Medellin, Colombia. I've been here for a year. I traveled so much. I just really haven't done anything. I bought a motorcycle down here and we ride, every 2 to 4 months, it's like, let's go. And it's just like, and then every weekend we were doing something. And so, as we launch our businesses even more, I just want to be home, and I'm really focusing on slowing my life down.
Yeah, the jet setting lifestyle is not for everyone, and hotels and airplanes and weird cuisine every week does take a toll on you.
My biggest thing Nicholas, was I just wanted my office. I wanted my big screens with my microphone and a nice background. So, because I do Zooms every day, and in front of hundreds of people, so I have to. And it's like when that doesn't work, it just ruins the whole experience.
That moving online from having FaceTime with people, you said that you were not a people person when you started out. So you got yourself into being able to present in front of hundreds of people and do it consistently. Do you think there are people out there who are terrified of being in front of people and that's preventing them from being successful? Could they look at you as an example of somebody who has gotten over their fears and is now on a podcast, in
Right.
Colombia, chatting to somebody in Norway?
I would say the only reason people don't live the life they want is because of fear. I've boiled it down. I've sat with thousands and thousands of people, and it's all they're afraid. We're afraid of looking bad. We're afraid of not knowing, myself included, afraid of getting made fun of. I mean, I was bullied as a kid, right? And so all of those traumas, they live with us, and we got to deal with them. And so I was literally socially awkward. I grew up on a farm, and so I knew how to hang around farm kids, right? Because that's what I did. But I didn't know how to hang around successful business people. And so I just shut up, and I would just go blank, and someone would talk to me about, oh my God, I don't know what to say. I don't want to look stupid. I'd break out in a sweat. I'd stuttered. I'd stammered. And so bad that I joined a mastermind. I spent $20,000 on a mastermind, and I didn't really talk to anybody for 3 years. I'd go every week. I drove 200 miles round trip from Northwest Indiana to Chicago every Thursday and every other Friday for 3 years. And I hardly talked to anyone because I was so scared of people. Now I eventually I'd start greeting people at the front door, and I was, oh my God, that was a big move for me. And then little by little, I just started acclimating myself. And when it really hit was when I started taking personal development programs. I enrolled myself into what I call emotional intelligence type stuff. And once I really started focusing on that, my whole life changed, because now I had the emotional IQ, or I was working on it, to go along with my intellectual IQ.
That's a great life story. I bet you could call a hog, though, from a mile away.
I love driving tractors. When I was going through school, I had this big fancy degree, and I was working down at the Chicago Board of Trade. And on the weekends, I was still baling hay and feeding cows and, driving tractors. I love that stuff. I'm buying a farm down here. We're going to do the same thing. So yeah, that's my soul, my spirit.
Also, I was listening to my dad wrote a little story. My father writes stories for my kids, and they eagerly wait for it every evening for their story from their grandfather. And this one was about hog calling competitions and about all of the different ways you can call hogs. So we were having a bit of fun with that tonight. But it just what you said about growing up on a farm and being quite shy when going to these meetings. So I don't understand it because my father is a priest and I grew up being not the center of attention, but being in a family that was at the center of everything. So I didn't have a choice not to speak to people. I sang in the choir. I had to carry the chasuble and the thurible and all of and fling them around, etc. So from a young age, I've always been in front of people, so I don't get it. And that's why having people with diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences are very necessary to help people who haven't had that experience. Not everyone is forced in front of an audience to sing carols in front of the whole world. So that's just something I realize now, why I'm so comfortable speaking to people and being in front of people is because of my upbringing.
I would say that out of everything I know, that's the hardest thing for people to overcome. Because I could teach people math. I can do the finance for them. You know what I mean? Because I have my own finance team. You can hire someone else to do the marketing. At the end of the day, when you're starting this, you're sort of the prize. And if you can't talk to people and convey a message and build a relationship and trust, you're not going to get anywhere.
Absolutely. And especially when building your own business, a lot of people, and I suppose folks who are not great networkers or not great in front of other people, hide behind a logo or a brand because they think, I can have a nice logo and people talk to the logo. But that's not how it works now, right?
Right. I've never heard that. I love it. No, it's definitely not. There's a lot of people out there that promote that can work. And does it work for somebody? Faceless YouTube videos, stuff like that. But it's like there's still a component to it, and I think I looked at those people that do the faceless stuff, and they're doing it for money, and they just get so burnt out, right? They get so burnt out. Everyone I've talked to that does that doesn't know how to automate it, mechanicalize it, and it's like, but their spirit is dead. Like they're not. It's like videos that mean nothing to them. They're just literally doing it for a paycheck. And there's no difference between doing a job for a paycheck. And so I've learned, I'm so in love with what I do, which is why I think I had success at it, because I pour myself into it.
The other aspect of that, and I expand a little bit on the difference maybe between a brand or a logo and personal branding, because I wanted to touch on that as one of the questions here. Brands take years to grow, and you know that from a valuation perspective. You can't overnight, you can have $1 million in sales, but nobody's going to pay you for your brand because you haven't got a brand. A brand is built over years and years. And a lot of people who are going to be doing this nomad lifestyle that you're mentioning, or building a small and medium-sized business, you're not building a brand. The brand is you. And if you don't create social media around yourself, if you're not authentic, if you don't give people a reason to believe and a reason to trust you, your business is going to die out when you die out, or there's going to be no value when you send it on to somebody else. So what is your approach to personal branding? You've been seen by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. Vulnerability is one thing that folks talk about, that you be open and honest about your successes and failures, or do you just talk successes?
I am so real. Like, I am authentic. I share my personal life. I share my life. And so I don't put my life in buckets. I don't have a personal life. I don't have a business. I have a life. And so wherever I go, I'm doing my business. I'm doing my work. Even if I'm on a motorcycle, I'm thinking about something. I'm like, I'm just enjoying what I do. And so in the aspect of branding, I think trust. Can you trust the person? And there's great books on this, economies of trust, economics of trust. And when societies or communities, however, right, a society is a large community, when they lose trust, the business component of it ceases to exist. And so I do, everything I do is based on the concept of trust. Can you trust me to do what I say I was going to do? Can you trust my offering or whatever it is that you purchase from me to be delivered in the way that I said it was delivered. With obviously trust is, having a great attitude. Can you trust my team to have a great attitude? Because I work with people that deliver stuff, but they're jerks, right? And so it's like this whole component of it. But I would say it's based on trust. And our principles of Learn and Grow Rich, the first one is intention. And so I tell people, have an intention with everything you do, because my coaches are like, what's your intention right now? What's your intention? The second one is personal responsibility. Everything's my fault. I own it, right? Third one is integrity. And I leave them vague for a reason, integrity, because it's like, well, what might be the right thing for Nicholas might not be the right thing for someone else, right? It's like, what does the circumstances call for? The fourth one is dream big, and the fifth, do the work. And so those will get me through anything, right? Whenever I'm complaining or whenever I'm down on myself or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, remember my core principles. And so I want the people that are my clients and my followers to understand that. And I share the whole world of it. And the reason I share the whole world of it is to build trust. Because it's like, hey, I was once there, and guess what? It's not going to take 30 days. It may take you 2 years. But I've been on my Zoom calls every day for 8 years. I'm not going anywhere, right? And you can trust me on that. And so, 8 years of daily Zoom calls, that builds credibility.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, a brand is basically trust. It's a promise
that's
of
all
delivery.
it is.
Yeah.
When you buy Coca-Cola, you can trust that it's going to have whatever they have in it. You can trust it.
Absolutely. So where can I send folks to find a little bit more information about you and your program? And you say it's free, right? So that sounds too good to be true.
Yeah. What's the catch?
Exactly. What's the catch?
Here's the catch. I used to sell $20,000+ masterminds, and I've learned a lot through that. When you're a leader of the education I sold for 30,000 people, and people come in, brilliant people wouldn't have success. People that borrowed the money to have would. And so it's like, I don't know. And so instead of selling it, I just give it all away now. We have free, we have done with you, and then we have done for you. And the same frameworks and material that I use on the done for you, like we just took on a client right now, we're doing a $50 million acquisition. Same software I give away for free as the base. I build it out a little bit more. But the reason I do that is because I've personally spent over $1 million on myself through training development programs between me and my wife. I see people in these programs and they think they're going to change their life, but it's like a letter in the alphabet. You can't write a bestseller with one letter. You need the whole spectrum. And people aren't told that when they're buying these programs. And so I just said, well, I think education should be free. I think it's the foundation of a healthy society, like quality education, specifically around business, finance, economics, and all of that. And so I said, well, let me just start it. And so my commitment is I'm going to give all my education away for free forever. I do a call every week for free. I have my software I give away for free. We do demos on the software I give away for free. And then if you want to obviously get some help with that, we have entry-level $97 a month masterminds that help people just out there trying to get started, because I can give very valuable information. That doesn't mean they can receive it. And right. And so, and then we scale up from there. And then I do custom consulting. And the idea is, well, if I get them started on the framework, eventually, and they're successful, eventually they're going to need me, right? Or they're going to need somebody. And I've garnered that trust to do the right thing. So that's the whole business model behind it, because I want the done for you. Like that's who I really love working with, is like, hey, let me do it for you. My team and them come in there. And so all of that material is in my school, and we're continuously building it out. And so that's at learnandgrowrich.net.
Well, that sounds phenomenal. Now, I teach digital marketing here in Norway, so I lecture at a university, and we've just started a class agency. So one of the ways that I get the students to figure out how to apply all that we learn in class is to actually do it. So I would love to put them onto your course, because a lot of them have got such great ideas, But like you said, I can only tell them so much. They need to go and do it. And I think we must get them on one of those calls and just see what it looks like, what the road to success looks like, and that it's not an overnight magic bullet or a magic bean that's going to get you where you're going to be. You need to be in a group community. You need to be with other people who can give you some of those nuggets of wisdom.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually just started something called the Learn and Grow Rich Partnership Program, where I take 5 to 10 people. We're literally starting it this week. And I say, hey, come and learn from me. Step 1 is marketing. Because I don't care what business you're in, if you can't learn how to market, you're done. And so some of them have businesses, some of them don't. And they're marketing for me while they're marketing their business. And so we're taking them through the whole FASA model, finance, operations, sales, and marketing, because that's the best way to learn. Absolutely. So I'd love, if you ever want me to come in and speak with them, man, I love that component of it.
I would love that. So I'll chat to you about that, because this current class of mine, they're such go-getters. They're going to do some great things, but they need probably a little bit more than what I can give them. So I'd love to arrange that. So, but I suppose that same offer will go to anyone, but it's going to your website and checking out those free courses.
Everything's
and if
there.
they've got a great idea and need some more support, you're there to lend a hand and get them through that. So, Indy, if I can call you Indy, it's been...
You could officially, you could call me Indy. We're friends.
It's been a fascinating chat, and we didn't even get to talk about all of the places you've been to, but I hope you enjoy your new spot, and we look forward to having you back on the show again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, my friend.